Welcome back to Behind the Short. I'm your host, Wesley Malott, and this week we're doing the 48-hour film project. This week we are participating in our third 48-hour film project, and I wanted to take a look back at some of the things that we have learned over the past 2 years that could perhaps help you on your journey. But most importantly, this is just a reminder for us so we don't f**k up. If you're unfamiliar with the 48-hour film project, it's an annual competition where you write, shoot, edit, and turn in a completed short film in just 48 hours using required elements. Those required elements include a genre chosen at random, a required character and occupation, a line of dialogue, and a required prop. So, I've compiled a list of 8 tips that's going to help us survive the weekend. It's really important that we survive the weekend. Tip 1, have a plan. On a no-budget film shoot, the bare minimum you really need is an actor, a cameraman, and a sound person. But if you want to survive the 48-hour film project, you're going to need a lot more people than that. If you're directing and operating the camera, you're going to need an assistant director to keep you organized. This person's going to have the shot list, the shooting schedule, and all other extraneous things so you can focus on directing. You'll want to have reliable people in charge of obtaining props and set design elements. That way, you can focus on getting the shot list and the shooting schedule completed. Obtain locations beforehand. Have a couple locations in mind before you start writing. With the 48-hour film project, the genres are all available beforehand, so you can seek out locations that cater to specific genres. Now, if you only have one location, then that's great. You have a guaranteed location in the bag. But personally, I'm not a fan of limiting yourself to one location because that limits where you can go with the story. Make sure to budget your time efficiently. There are 3 phases of production: pre-production, production, and post-production. You're going to have to do all 3 of these within 48 hours. So if you were to divide that up evenly, you have 16 hours to write, 16 hours to shoot, and 16 hours to edit. Don't get stuck on one phase. If you think you have the shot, move on. You're not going to be able to get the perfect shots in this competition. It's just a matter you're going to have to accept. Make sure you capture good audio on set so that you spend less time fixing it in post. Each year you'll encounter a film that either ran into sound issues and unintentionally is a silent film, or you'll have your ears blown out by someone who's not recording or mixing their audio appropriately. Again, you're not going to have a perfect film, but please give the sound the attention that it deserves. Since you only have 48 hours, I found it extremely helpful to include the actors in on the writing process. This way they're able to familiarize themselves with the lines and the scenes before the script is fully written. This also helps troubleshoot any character-related questions you might run into on set. Also, we've never written an actual screenplay for the competition. We focus on writing a bulleted outline with all of our scenes, lines, and details. We found that doing it this way saves us valuable time that we're not formatting an actual script. Instead, we can use that saved time on other important aspects of pre-production. Don't write a bunch of locations into your story. Try using locations that can serve 2 or 3 different scenes. That way you're not wasting precious time traveling to and from different locations. The traveling can add up and you never know when you're going to get into a traffic jam. And we're at a dead stop.
0.3 of a mile before we get off.
0.3 of a mile before we get off at 3:36 in the morning. Be organized and stay organized. Make sure you're labeling all your video and audio footage clearly. That way you don't run into any file name issues in post. If you have a camera report, make sure to include detailed notes for your editor. That way it's easier and quicker for them to work. When you're feeling stressed and under the pressure of time, it's going to be easy to lose your focus and feel overwhelmed. So having these things organized and kept organized throughout the process is going to be a lifesaver. Have a dedicated editor. This is going to save you a lot of time if you have someone working on set as an editor that can edit as you go. Speaking of, anyone want to join our team as a dedicated editor? Yeah? Make sure to communicate effectively and clearly. Last year we had a breakdown in communication where I thought the set design elements and the props were going to be ready on set whenever we got there. But they weren't, and we wasted an hour in the beginning of the day running out and grabbing those things, which was my fault for not communicating effectively and clearly to begin with. So make sure that you're communicating with your team and that they understand what they're supposed to do. Lastly, and most importantly, turn the project in on time. That should be a no-brainer, but happens. And again, this comes back to budgeting your time effectively. Make sure to schedule in any time that you might spend in traffic. Make sure to include your render times. Make sure to include the coloring in your time frame. All of these things are going to add up, so make sure that you account for these things before they happen and make sure you are on time. That's it, folks. I hope that these tips help us survive this weekend. We are going to be doing some live streams, so make sure to check back in this weekend for those. Then next week, we're going to start our behind the scenes segment on the 48 hour, and then after the big premiere will be the online premiere of whatever we end up creating. So that's that. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Behind the Short. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, then tune in next week for the first episode of our 48 hour film challenge, 2018 edition. Yes. Thank you.